Hi everyone, I'm Marc Laurenson, and in this clip we're going to talk about the chart ruler. Now, I had a lady who said that she found out a planet was ruling her chart, and she wanted to know which one it was. So before we get into the chart ruler as such, I just want to go over something with you. Now, calling this planet the chart ruler or the ruler of the chart is a little misleading, because it tends to go down the road of thinking that this planet is like the kingpin of the whole chart. And I don't necessarily agree with that. But I do think it's a really strong focalizer or strong emphasis on who we are, our personalities, on an outer level, because the chart ruler is the planet that is ruling the sign on your ascendant. So when you're looking at the ascendant, you're looking at the way you do you. The ascendant is this little package that we've come in human form, and it's given a name. And we get out there in the world and we enact our ascendant. So our ascendant has a lot to do with how we face the world, how we do us, and how we come across to people. So our personalities are very, very strongly embedded into the ascendant. Now, the chart ruler, the planet that is actually ruling the ascendant, also is going to have another layer of this particular energy. So it feels on a certain level like it's an extension of the ascendant itself. Now, this planet is not necessarily going to be in the same sign, and it's not necessarily going to be in the first house. Very occasionally it will be, but most of the time it's going to be in a different sign and it's going to be in a different house. So it's going to add not only another layer, but it's actually going to add another kind of dimension to your ascendant as well. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So if you have a Capricorn ascendant, then you're going to have Saturn as your chart ruler, and Saturn could be in a different house and a different sign. If you have Gemini as your ascendant, then Mercury is going to be your chart ruler, again, possibly in a different house and different sign. If you have Scorpio as your ascendant, then you're going to have two chart rulers. You're going to have the modern chart ruler, which is Pluto, and you're going to have the traditional chart ruler, which is Mars. I tend to look at both. I tend to look at the modern one first and go down the road of looking at Pluto and what Pluto is saying. And then, of course, I'll have a quick look at Mars and see where Mars is by sign and house, because I believe that will play out very strongly with the Scorpio ascendant as well. So, as I said, this is going to add more to the storyline. And as I said, it doesn't necessarily take over the ascendant, but it definitely colors it in a really, really big way. So I'm going to show you a couple of chart examples now, just so you can get an idea of what I mean when I'm talking about the planet that so-called rules the chart. So Steve Jobs, Mr. Apple, of course, he passed on a few years ago, and he is a Pisces. He's a Pisces sun, and he's an Aries moon. Pisces sun in the 6th, Aries moon in the 7th. His rising sign over here is Virgo. Virgo is his rising sign. So Virgo rising people have come across with a very strong work ethic. They have a meticulous eye for detail. They kind of feel on a certain level that there needs to be order in their life. And they're quite analytical in lots of ways. There's a subtleness to their personality. Some people might even call it humble. With women particularly, there's a refinement that comes with the Virgo ascendant. But Virgos are kind of not necessarily happy to be playing towards the back of the field, but they really don't push themselves forward all that much, because basically they're just about the work and being able to help and being able to be of assistance. So Steve has this as his ascendant sign. Now his chart ruler is going to be the ruler of his ascendant. So here we have a Virgo ascendant. So the chart ruler is going to be Mercury. See, Mercury is over here, and it's in the sign of Aquarius, and it's in the 5th house. Now, this adds a completely different layer to his Virgo ascendant. Because Mercury in Aquarius, we go down the road of the more inventive mind. We go down the road of the more innovative mind, the futuristic mind, the technological mind. You can see this in the way in his work, in his Virgo work, of course. And it's also in the fifth house. So the fifth house, as we know, has a lot to do with creativity, has a lot to do with other things, children falling in love, all that kind of stuff as well. But in his personality, you can see the fifth house level of creativity was very, very strong. And also you can see the fifth house element of needing to be on, the showman. The fifth house kind of feeling of needing to express the personality as well. So this brings out the Virgo Ascendant. As I was saying, the Virgo Ascendant can be quite demure, but the fifth house Mercury takes it out more onto center stage. It gives it a voice, gives it a strong, new, futuristic, technological, even radical, left of center, nonconformist kind of voice. And it gives it a platform. It gives it a fifth house platform for him to actually show himself off, so to speak. So can you see how his Mercury chart ruler in the sign of Aquarius and in the fifth house really has a lot to say about his personality and his ascendant as well. So quickly looking at another one, here is Arnold Schwarzenegger's chart. Now Arnold Arnold is a Leo, of course. His moon is over here in Capricorn, which we'll talk about more in a sec. And his ascendant is Cancer. So the Cancer ascendant, all these Leo planets down here, very strong Leo planets down here, really, really sums Arnold up in a big way. But the Cancer ascendant is really interesting because the Cancer ascendant for most people is about being able to care and to love, and to be able to enact that and to be able to do that and be a nurturer. But the Cancer ascendant is very, very protective. And for most men, it's about protection, I find, being able to protect. And nothing protects more than having a great big body, big muscly body like a shell. And I find that a lot of Cancer men do beat themselves up a lot. I find the bouncers outside of the nightclubs and big beefy butch guys, often you'll find with really strong cancer in their chart in some ways, because it's like their protective shell. So there is the softness going on here that's being overly protected, definitely by the way he's kind of built himself up on that outer level. But really inside, there would be a soft person who really needs to get out into the world in some kind of way and to be able to share that love. Now, this takes his Cancer ascendant down a very, very different road when you see his moon. His moon is ruling the Cancer ascendant, so his moon is his chart ruler. And so here is his moon over here in the sixth house, and it's in the sign of Capricorn. So can we see how different this is to the Cancer nature? The moon in Capricorn, in detriment, so to speak, using old-fashioned terminology. So here we have a moon that's very disciplined, a very disciplined moon, a very in-charge moon, a very determined moon, a very goal-oriented moon. A moon that is more about striving to the top, that kind of feeling. And so this is very, very different to the softer nature that the Cancer ascendant would be sending out originally. So can you see how the moon in Capricorn has changed this quite a bit? Now, it's in the sixth house of work and service, but it's also the house of health, in a way of being able to look after the body and keep the body in tip-top shape. And so the moon was dedicated to, the moon went down the road of ambition and achievement, down the road of the sixth house, down the road of the body, and making sure that the body was in tip-top form. Whether you call bodybuilding a way of doing that, that's up to you. But for Arnold, that definitely was his work. That was his way of being able to refine himself. That was his way of being able to be the best he can possibly be. on that level. And then there's something about the coach element going on with the sixth house as well, being able to teach and train and coach. That goes down the sixth house road as well. And so the moon in Capricorn in the sixth house comes out through the Cancer ascendant and out there into the world. So can you see how the sixth house moon, the chart ruler, has now influenced the Cancer ascendant quite strongly? It has taken it to another level of who it is. So the moon in this particular chart and the Mercury in the Steve Jobs chart are the chart rulers. And so you can see how important they are in the chart as far as being able to express yourself out there in the world in some kind of way. So that's your lesson today on the chart ruler.